We're already letting AI steer our choices. What to eat, where to go, and how to live. But each time that we hand over the wheel, it's more than just bad directions at stake. It's our independence. So what happens then if you let AI plan something as personal and fragile as adventure? There's more at stake here than just getting lost. You risk losing the thrill of surprise, the spark of discovery, and the sense of self that only comes from creating your own way. I love planning road trips. There's something special about the process. The slow build of anticipation, the freedom to chase good weather, and the joy of discovering places that you've never seen in anyone else's photos. That kind of planning takes more than just good logistics. To do it well takes a special kind of intuition. I think it's a kind of art form. It usually demands a lot of time. But lately, something's been changing. More of us are delegating tasks that once took hours to artificial intelligence. AI is creeping into every corner of our lives. How we live, make decisions, and even plan and solve problems. Debate about this has been going around a lot. Is this something that we should do and trust more? And so it got me thinking, could I use AI to plan something as personal and layered as a road trip? Somewhere I've never been before. Not just any kind of trip, but my kind of trip. Rolling into the woods at the last minute, cooking under the stars, and waking up to a mountain view that feels like a secret. I was looking for something remote, untouched, and off the map. Could AI find those hidden spots that I was searching for? I was curious, so I decided to test it. I opened up ChatGPT and typed in exactly what I was after. A remote alpine lake in northern Colorado, accessible by van, secluded, peaceful, off the grid, away from crowds. Give me exact GPS coordinates. And then I followed the directions. I did no extra research and I had no backups. I just got in the van and went. I will admit, it was a little scary. Where would it lead me? And what would I find out there? I just hoped that it wouldn't send me to some random private property where I would get in trouble for being there. But that was the point. Could AI capture the magic of travel? Not just the logistics, but also the wonder of discovering the best places that I'd never seen before. Could it anticipate the weather, the terrain, or my van's clearance? Could it find the kind of secluded beauty that I was after? That was my experiment. What I found was a little less perfect and a lot more rugged than I expected. I'm no expert at prompting, so I kept things simple. When the AI responded, it was fast. I thought it was almost a little too fast. Within minutes, it handed me precise GPS coordinates for a lake I've never heard before in northern Colorado. It also gave me a brief description and the exact mileage for my starting point. On paper, it looked perfect. Remote, alpine, and several thousand feet higher than where I was. A small blue dot, tucked deep on the map's forest, promised solitude and water. It even added a little travel advice for me. Suitable for most vehicles, dirt road access, minimal traffic. Minimal traffic sounded great, but suitable for most vehicles? What did that mean? That could mean anything. From a graded gravel road to a washed out Jeep trail that would leave my Chevy Express hopelessly stuck. And out here, being stranded means being hours away from help. And you hope the weather doesn't turn bad on you while you're stuck. But this was the test, and I decided not to second guess this. I copied the coordinates it gave me into Google Maps, packed the van, and headed north. As I turned the key, I felt the first resistance of letting go, handing over full control over to some algorithm instead of trusting my own instincts. That alone felt risky. The drive started off easy. Highways gave way to two-lane roads, and the towns began to thin out. It was the kind of approach that always made me hopeful, but in reality, I had no idea what was out there. And the closer I got, the more doubtful I became about this experiment. The further I drove, the more obvious it became. AI doesn't understand roads like a human does. At least, not yet. The journey began easily enough. Graded dirt with a few bumps, and that feeling of freedom that you get when the road is rough but manageable. But things changed quickly. The trees grew thicker, the road narrowed, and my whole driving experience started getting worse. Soon, I was crawling over boulders and fallen branches, the van rocking in ways it was never designed for. The AI claimed that this road was suitable for most vehicles, but I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The rocks were bigger than anything that I've ever driven over before. I had no idea how much my van could take. Luckily, I had a lot of clearance with my Chevy Express. If the ground had been wet, I wouldn't be telling this story. I'd be stranded, axle deep in mud and wet rocks with my wheels spinning, hoping for a signal to reach out from the pines and notify someone who could pull me out. Thankfully, the conditions were dry. Dust picked up behind me as the sun slipped away, draining the light from the trees. Each bend that I went around felt like a point of no return. There was no shoulder or flat spot to turn around, just one narrow trail, covered by roots, rocks, and branches. I kept hoping that it would be worth it if I just continued, but even that optimism started to go away. I had no signal out here, and I realized I could be in real trouble. About 30 minutes later, the road ended abruptly. Just a clearing, a locked gate, and 5 miles to go to the promised coordinates. It was a dead end. The lake I was aiming for might as well have been on the moon. There was no way around, no sign of people, and no way to know about the closed gate until I was right there at the end of the road. At this point, it was time to give up on the AI experiment, and I decided to take over. Once I took charge, I zoomed out on Google Maps, looking for a flat spot to park. I eventually spotted a big clearing down a dirt road. It was getting late, so I pulled in, leveled the van as best I could, and called it a night. In the morning, I woke up surrounded by mosquitoes. Dozens tapped at the glass, like they'd spent all night waiting for me. It was a fine place to park, quiet, flat, and empty, but it definitely wasn't a place I wanted to linger. I opened my offline map and started searching for something better. That's when I found Teal Lake, a place I'd never been to before. It was only about 30 minutes away, so I decided to check it out. I had nothing else to lose at this point, besides my blood and my sanity from how many mosquitoes there were. It turned out to be a paid campground, not usually my first choice, but honestly, I didn't mind. The lake was fantastic. It had clear water, cool air, and definitely not as many mosquitoes. This was the kind of place that I could actually relax in. It wasn't where I planned to go, but I ended up loving it. It reminded me of why I loved to travel in the first place. I love stumbling on places with no expectation of it. It makes me appreciate the experience that much more. Even though the AI didn't get me where I planned, I found somewhere new, and I ended up loving it. Looking back, I'd say using AI for trip planning was mostly positive, but it definitely came with some problems. One thing it absolutely nailed was brainstorming. I couldn't believe how many new places it suggested. When I started searching for destinations, the AI offered up a huge range of places, some I've never even heard of before. It felt less like using a search engine and more like having a travel buddy, tossing out ideas to you from an endless stack. Scrolling through options and seeing how far each spot was from my van was really exciting. And it helped me figure out what was actually doable on my timeline. It even pulled together detailed plans based on the info I gave it. It generated itineraries, suggested activities, and painted a pretty vivid picture of what to expect at each place. Having those suggestions in one spot made the logistics feel much easier, especially when I felt overwhelmed by all the choices out there. At first, it really gave some shape to all the chaos. But of course, AI isn't perfect. It definitely has some blind spots. The biggest issue is that it has no clue about road quality. On a map, a road is a road. The AI will send you on a route, but AI doesn't know if that road is smooth, graded, or a rocky, washed out mess. That's the kind of thing that only local knowledge or recent reports can tell you, and that gap can lead to real headaches and trouble if you're not careful. That's the difference between reading about a place and actually knowing it. Another thing is that AI pulls information from everywhere. Reddit forums, trip reports, you name it. It's impressive, but all that variety means that you have to be careful. Just because it cites a source doesn't mean the information is up to date or accurate. Fact-checking is still essential. AI can point you to a trail, but it's still on you to make sure the bridge hasn't washed out, or that you're not accidentally pulling into someone's backyard at midnight. And that way, using AI is like using any online research. You can trust, but definitely verify. This summer, I used AI to find a place to park for the night. It pulled information from some ancient Reddit post in 2010. It gave me GPS coordinates, and when I checked Google Maps, it turned out to be a random person's backyard in Montana. Imagine trying to explain that to someone whose property you ended up on. And then there are things that no algorithm can predict, like that locked gate at the end of a long dirt road. Unless someone mentioned it in a recent post, you can't expect any app or even your own research to catch everything. Honestly, even if I'd planned every detail myself, I probably would have missed it too. That's happened to me before, but that's part of the adventure. Sometimes, no matter how well you plan, the unexpected will find you anyway. You just have to be flexible. Things won't always work out as planned, and that's something that both AI and humans have in common. We're all just doing the best we can with the information that we have. Taking a step back, here's my big picture take on AI. AI is undeniably an exciting technology with enormous potential, but it comes with significant problems and limitations. And while it's cool to just look at all the hype about it, It's also important to see where it falls short. AI gets a lot of things wrong. This is just one of many experiments that I've done with it. And there are plenty of times where it will confidently just spit out answers that are plain wrong or misleading. My trip planning experience is just one example. Sometimes it gets details wrong, misses context, or produces these strange hallucinations that you would never expect from a person. It's like traveling with a friend who speaks with total confidence, even though they have no idea where they're going. Creativity is not its strong suit. AI doesn't invent new ideas or dream up anything original. It just pulls from what's already out there, and it's very general. It often remixes information from a bunch of different sources and doesn't give them the proper credit they deserve. You're not getting the spark of human imagination there, just a general mashup of existing ideas filtered through whatever parameters that you happen to set. Another thing is that AI lacks real intuition and critical thinking skills. It can't read the room or sense the vibe. It can't pick up on subtle cues in the environment like people do. When it comes to things like recommending places for you to visit, it just matches preferences and keywords. There's no curiosity, surprise, or real sense of discovery. It's just pattern matching. That's why Teal Lake felt so refreshing. It wasn't in the algorithm's plan, it was in my own discovery through improvising. And let's not forget that AI can also reinforce biases. Since it learns from what's already online, it sometimes repeats the same blind spots or stereotypes found in its training data. That can mean less diversity in recommendations, or even unintentionally exclude the lesser-known areas in favor of whatever is more popular or more reviewed. Lastly, while AI can save you time and organize information, it's still no substitute for actual experience or human judgment. I like to think of AI as a tool, and a tool is only as good as the person who's using it. So you still have to double-check facts and fill in the gaps, and use your own instincts to make the best decisions. Nothing can substitute the knowledge that comes from actually being out there, getting lost, finding your own path, and learning by doing. AI is a powerful assistant, but it can't replace creativity, intuition, or even lived experience. It can open doors, but it's up to you to walk through them and make that journey your own. I doubt that we'll ever get to a point where the technology will be able to make those decisions for us. The best decisions sometimes aren't logical. They're lived experiences, and AI will never be able to go out and do that for you. This experiment began with a simple question. Could AI really plan something as layered and personal as a road trip? At first, it seemed like the answer might be yes. AI handed me a plan, directions, and even a sense of confidence. But the farther I drove, the more obvious it became. AI might know the coordinates, but it doesn't know the details of the road itself. That's the paradox of this technology. It can move quickly, sound confident, and even feel convincing. But certainty isn't wisdom, and confidence isn't truth. In the end, I never did reach the lake AI promised me. Instead, I almost got stuck, I found a locked gate, and I had to spend the night with a bunch of mosquitoes. But an unexpected detour led me to one of the best lakes I've ever discovered. And that's where the magic happened. Even though the plan failed, the journey didn't. The road still delivered what I was searching for, just not in the way that I was expecting. I think that's the real lesson here. AI can help us organize, suggest, and even inspire, but it can't feel wonder. It can't improvise when things go sideways and don't work out. It can't choose curiosity over convenience. That part is still up to us. The best roads out there sometimes aren't logical at all. They're lived. They're muddy, unpredictable, sometimes filled with a bunch of wrong turns and dead ends. But every once in a while, they open up to something unforgettable. AI will keep learning, but the road will always belong to those who are willing to get out there and drive it themselves and be open to new experiences. Now I want to hear from you. How have you used AI? And has it actually helped? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll engage with you there. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel for more van life, outdoor, and travel content. And before you head out, check out my next video right here to see how the new laws and executive orders coming out are making it much harder to do van life, especially in cities. I'll see you over there.